Hello and welcome back to Fantasy Turf War, the coolest fantasy football league on the planet. One of those reasons is because the league is being run from Antarctica. This is season 2, episode 23, overall our 99th episode. And as always, tons to talk about. Commish Corey is staying busy, but rumors of his demise have been greatly exaggerated. But rumors about his fantasy football team still sucking are alive and well. Or at least that's what the trash talking is that my kids are saying these days. But on with the show. Let's bring in the rest of the gang. That would be Susan, the Gridiron Goddess, and Adam from Fantasy Couriers. How are you guys doing?
Hey.
First, introduce yourself,
It's
Susan.
good. All right, I'm Susan, the Gridiron Goddess. Find me on TikTok and Instagram. If you are watching, I see you guys here. Go ahead and like the stream. If you're watching on my Instagram, which is live, or my Facebook, which is live, like that stream. It really helps us out. Gets our stuff out to more viewers. If you guys would give us a thumbs up or a heart, even.
What's up, guys? Adam, known as DJ Dove of the Fantasy Couriers. Great to be here this week and to echo what Susan said while you're doing it. Go click on the Gridiron Goddesses. Go click on the fantasy servers. Pull up like 30 windows. Usually during these shows and during my podcast, I have windows. I got a curved screen here with like 4 windows. I got windows on a TV over here. My head's on a swivel. Do the same for us. That's the best way. It's something called the algorithm, which old man me still doesn't understand. I just know the more thumbs, likes, and reposts you get, the more magic you get on the internet. So let's do some magic tonight.
All right. I am representing Shelter Dogs for Veterans. Like we said, we are streaming on many platforms at this very moment. Even if you pick up our show later in the week and listen to it, subscribe, like, share the show or the channel. It helps us grow, and in return, it also helps you grow too. The more listeners we've got, the more people that we can help. As a matter of fact, I was having a conversation just this evening with somebody who asked me if I could block their opponent from listening to the show this week because they were getting too much help from us. So, P.S. Kara and Michelle, thank you for being longtime listeners, but you need to battle this one out in your game this weekend. So, anyways, so much going on these days between the daily grind, Halloween, fantasy football. Sometimes it's hard to keep everything straight. That's why I've got you guys here to help bring some sense to all this craziness. So somebody, please help me make sense of the past 2 weekends. You think we can do that tonight? Because we're past bike apocalypse and we're past the week 9 fallout. So, ugh. Are your teams in the clear now?
No. They are still, I guess, well, I think at this point, we are more clear on where your teams are. I mean, for me at least, some people are treading water. Like my guys, I have a couple teams that are just dumpster fires. So I'm just now trying to be the spoiler. And I had a team I thought it'd be 2 teams I thought it'd be really good, and just injuries and luck. Bucky Irving's been like my bane of my fantasy teams this year. I love the dude. So next year, I'm not going to draft him. He's going to be great because he snake bit me. But other teams, the cream is starting to rise, and in many leagues, and it's a lot of my leagues are just the disparity is incredible this year. And I mean, I don't think we're in the clear because we still have a few more weeks. And am I correct? It could have been last year. Isn't there a week that we don't have buys coming up, or was that last year?
Week 13, I believe there are no buys, I believe.
Okay, because 14 there are buys. The last
14.
Yeah. Last year, 14 was the bipocalypse, right?
Because you were trying to get into the playoffs and like 4 or 5 really good teams.
Yeah.
I got hit because I had Mixon and King Henry, and they both had bye week 14 as you're trying to make that final push. So not good. Not good. No. You in the clear, Susan? Are you breathing? Are you above water?
Not yet. Not yet. I'm on the bubble in several leagues. Turf War, though, I am in 3rd place. Like Cameron, I think you said you're in 3rd place too, right? So I did defeat Adam this week. Although for a minute there, it was looking scary for me. You had a leg up, but my problem was this weekend. Before Monday Night Football, I was in the green on Sleeper. You know how like you're gonna project it to win. I was relying on the Dak CD stack in so many leagues, and it just did not happen this week. Poor Cowboys. I'm going to talk about them later, but so
yeah, I was interested to see who won between you guys because Adam, did you prepare a concession speech? Because I know last week we got the flavor of I got no chance.
4 and 7 years ago, my fantasy turf team is in second from last, and for the only time in the last month, I had hope. Lamar Jackson, like injury, but like fantasy turf war, really, I've been just crushed on injuries and underperforming Nuggets. Lamar Jackson came back and just killed it, but you can only play the Dolphins every so often, and then everybody else just pooped the bed. So Lamar's back. I think we're pretty good about him, and he wasn't even at full strength. So when we get Lamar back and running,
yeah, he only had 12 yards on the ground.
Yeah, so
that's amazing.
And it wasn't a real, like if you look at it, it wasn't Superman. So he's going to be dangerous once he's comfortable with it, with his hammy. It was hammy, right? I'm having a blurry night after.
Yeah, I believe it was his hammy. Yeah.
Yeah. Hammies are bad.
Yeah.
So it's a comfortability thing with that, getting back in it, because you can re-injure that. So he's going to, I think we're a few weeks away from sprinting Lamar. I think he's going to be smart because they took him a while to get back. But yeah, I was hopeful for about 2 days, and then Sunday came, and the other guys played football. If we could have ended it Friday, I could have played. I was like, oh, good. I got a speech about being a spoiler and telling everybody don't give up on your leagues, because I didn't. Like, I'm putting my best team forward, and it drives me nuts. So everybody's listening. If you have a team that's dead, keep playing, because it's it would have been so great to get on today and go, hee, Susan, I suck, and you got punished.
I know. I was worried. But
congratulations.
I did pull out the win. Final ended up being 116-99. What's crazy is when you look at the projected scores, I was projected at 115-18. Oh, nice. And Adam, you were projected at 115.33. So the projections were there, but
the performance was not.
Yeah.
No, I took it on the chin this week myself. I lost 3 of the 4 I was in, and I should have lost the 4th one. I was playing last night. My team is done. They were down by 6 points, and they had Aubrey, kicker from Dallas. And I'm thinking to myself, I got no chance at this one. And my daughter, Courtney, she's a Cowboys fan too, so I'm sure she was cheering them on. I would like to have cheered them on, but it's like, my team's got to win. So I cannot cheer for Dallas right now. It's like, but if you're going to score a touchdown, that way you get 1 point, for the extra point. So, so that was tough, but I am so glad I am not in you guys' division, because I probably would have lost last weekend too, but I am hanging on to a thread in Fantasy Turf War. I'm in 3rd place right now, but there are some really, really strong teams in my division. But this year, again, I echo, injuries have taken their toll. Boy, but now some news from the NFL. So let's talk about some headline news from week 9. Pick or create a headline for this past weekend, whatever you'd like to do. What stood out to you, either good or bad?
All right. I am going with, I'm going to just rip off the Band-Aid to talk about them, the Cowboys. Last night was demoralizing as a Cowboys fan. I'm sitting there watching the game. Like, I don't know if y'all watched it, but if you're not a YouTube TV just subscriber, you could watch it.
I couldn't even then.
Hashtag not a sponsor.
Yeah.
We use Sling for like our main streaming service, which is, it's like a cheapo cable.
Yeah.
And so I pay for the package that has ESPN on it. So I haven't had a problem. Thank goodness. I mean, maybe not, considering I had to watch last night's game, but there was a moment where they showed Jerry Jones and Stephen Smith in the box together, and Stephen A. Smith. And the moment they showed it was basically Smith was like, well, okay. And he shook Jerry Jones's hand and was like, I'm out. So he was like, it was like, I'm done. I don't need to be here anymore. I'm not watching this. And that's kind of how it felt as a fan of the team. It's just like, they couldn't get it going. Arizona's defense looked great. They were just shutting stuff down. Their first round pick really came through last night. It was his first game he played for defense. So that sucked. And I worry a little bit about by CD Dak Stack moving forward as the season goes on. I don't know. They made a trade here at the deadline for 2 defensive pieces. A Bengals player that was benched for a rookie. I don't know how that's going to go. Literally the other worst defense in the league. And then somebody from the Jets who is a top tier guy. So
Yeah.
He might fit.
So
He might fit.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm hoping I don't know. That's how I feel.
That was a very
Cowboys fan.
messy, dismal headline. So, Adam, can you put some positivity to this past weekend?
Yeah, well, I mean, I luckily did not have to watch the Cowboys because Disney and YouTube decided they didn't want me to see it. Thank you a lot. It's like I feel like they're the government right now. They're just shutting us all out of everything. It's like, come on, they're on the team. Yeah, I got to figure out how
a government shutdown joke.
I did make a government shutdown. So it's been in my brain. Like it's the same thing. Like I'm up in DC, so all the nobody's going.
I forget you live in the DC area. That makes sense. Okay, sorry. Keep going.
Traffic's been great though. But yeah. So what did I have marked? Oh yeah, JJ McCarthy. JJ McCarthy, a guy that I don't really like. Never really liked coming into the league. And JJ Wang on Sunday was like, man, I never realized how much hate there was for JJ McCarthy. Like people don't like. I wasn't a fan because he was a system quarterback for Harbaugh. I didn't think there'd be much coming out of him. And he came back because was he quietly benched? We don't know, and they'll never really tell us. I think he was. Carson Wentz was playing with a shoulder blown out and shot to all get up. And JJ McCarthy came in and did great in fantasy. In real life, 143 yards, 2 touchdowns, 12 rushing for a touchdown. It's not. He has yet to throw over 158 yards in his NFL career. Wow. So, fantasy-wise, okay, cool. Luckily, he played against Detroit, who's a pretty good team. He won the game, so he didn't have to. I mean, defense, but he didn't have to go crazy, and he has one of the top 5 greatest receivers in the game on his team who had an awesome touchdown catch. But it is a highlight to see JJ McCarthy on the field, considering he's played now I think as many games as Trey Lance, give or take, for the same reason. So if he can get healthy, maybe the confidence will grow, and the Vikings will know. I mean, the Vikings will know pretty soon whether they have the next guy or they majorly messed up. But for this week, it's a highlight because people had to play him with the injuries and some of the quarterbacks. And I haven't even heard. Did you hear? What is Stroud's head situation? Is he because he's
questionable right now, but I don't know the depth of the injury
I think he was limited. Let me look. I'll look. I think it was like those like if they had practiced, he would have been
limited participant. Yeah,
his head bang was nasty, and it was. I'm glad it was a legal hit, so the guy doesn't feel like it's just the way he fell. And fun fact, if you look up if you ever want to know what DJ Dove's brother looks like, look at the picture of Davis Mills' profile. He looks just like my brother. It's crazy. We did a side pose one year. I'm like, Davis. I tried to contact Davis Mills, and he never hit me back, but he looks just like my brother. So anyway, that's it.
Looking for another fun fact about those Cardinals last night. They're only 3-10 on Monday Night Football. Guess who all 3 wins were against?
No way. Are you serious?
They were the Cowboys.
Yeah, they have the Cowboys number for some reason. It's like they're like 6-1 against the Cowboys or something.
The brisket.
Or 5-1. It's crazy.
Yeah, I couldn't see the game. It's like you know what? It's meant to be. I don't need to see it, especially with that. It probably would have been just depressing just to watch it. But I'm going to choose to go with my headline from an NFL record that was set this past weekend. Cam Little comes up large, 68-yard field goal for Jacksonville. I knew it was only a matter of time before they let this kid try it because he was kicking longer in preseason. I'm a little surprised they haven't let Aubrey try to get from that far because I think he can too. They did last night. Did they?
He missed it. Yeah, he missed it. It had the length, but it was wide.
Okay.
It was literally
he will get it, I'm sure. Yeah.
It was
I mean,
68 yards.
hands
It was
down,
decided.
I would still take Aubrey over Little, but you got to give Cam Little his dues. He's got the record until somebody says otherwise. So, all right, let's take care of some business before going too much further.
All right, let's take a quick time out to shout out our partners at Alpha Clash, the indie comic book trading card game that turns every match into a lore-driven battle for glory. In the Alpha Clash universe, superpowered contenders collide in a fast-paced game that perfectly blends fun and competition. Build your deck, unleash devastating abilities, and outmaneuver your opponent in a game that's as much about brains as it is about bold moves. The artwork will pull you in, the gameplay will keep you coming back, and the growing global community awaits. Head to alphaclashtcg.com and start your journey today. That's alphaclashtcg.com. It's time to enter the clash. Alpha Clash has generously donated booster packs that you can win at home when we have our trivia contests.
And here's something cool fact I learned. I'm a big comic book nerd. My son's named after Robin from Batman. They're doing a comic book. His name's Grayson, so it's after Dick Grayson, which is Robin's name.
Sure.
They're doing a comic book for Alpha Clash, and it's not like some podunk. Like Mark Waid is like a big comic book writer for Marvel. I saw him speak at Comic-Con years ago when I got to see Stan Lee. Like he's written like Incredible Hulk, Avenger. He's written all sorts of really good stuff. So they have like a legit writer writing the comic book series. So they're we're at the base, guys. Hold on to those Alpha Clash cards. We're gonna have some cool stuff here.
Yeah, it's just phenomenal artwork. I've got a number of cards myself, and the foils are just incredible. So, all righty. Well, this is a unique episode in that we are just past the NFL trade deadline, 4:00 Eastern today. To that end, our show this week is entitled "To Trade or Not to Trade." That is the question. Lots of deals to be had, but only if you can connect the seller to the buyer, and that's the name of the game. So whomever these NFL teams have on the roster is who they believe will lead them to the playoff, or in the case of the basement dwellers, will lead them to the coveted draft picks next spring. So let's take a look at the key NFL trades from today. Sauce Gardner from the Jets went to the Colts. They got in return Adonai Mitchell, a receiver, and 2 first-round picks. Rashid Shaheed from New Orleans, receiver, went to Seattle for a 4th and a 5th-round pick. Jacoby Meyer from Las Vegas to Jacksonville for a 4th and a 6th-round pick. There were a lot of other rumors that just simply fizzled out, such as Jalen Waddle, A.J. Brown, Kamara, Russell Wilson, Breece Hall. And like in Breece Hall's case, the asking price that the Jets were looking for was a 3rd-round pick, but they didn't get any takers. I mean, he would only be a rental player for the rest of the season. But if you look at it from the Jets side, they get nothing at the end of the season because he becomes a free agent. So I was a little surprised. But so big splashes on any of these deals, or are they just some mild ripples in the water, Adam?
I think Sauce Gardner's a great player. I mean, the Colts I think they're still the AFC 1 seed with numbers I haven't looked, but they're adding that to a defense. They basically gave a 2nd-round pick, if you look at their first, if they're going to be good the next 2 years. And I mean, really, we're doing a social experiment to see. We know the Jets are going to screw it up. They've got 5 first-round picks in the next 2 years. So let's see how many like high school players they draft by accident or punters in the 1st round. I don't know what they're going to do to mess this up, but it's the Jets' MO. I mean, they have Garrett Wilson, they have Breece Hall, they have stellar. They had Sauce Gardner. They got rid of Williams. They had both brothers of the Williams. I mean, they have really good players, and I love Aaron Glenn. He's a spectacular human and coach. It's just like, but it's the Jets. They might be the only team more snake bitten than my Dolphins in the history of the world. Because really, since Joe Namath, what have
Bad
they
luck
done? But I mean, I do like where they are. I don't like getting rid of Sauce, but at least they're going to have tons of picks. So now it's on the junior manager.
Susan, anything splash for you on these?
A couple things for me. Jacoby Myers to Jacksonville. He got the trade he wanted.
Yeah.
I think that he is going to be this. Well, this tells us at least one thing. Either BTJ is more hurt than we thought.
Yep.
And they want to be limiting his participation. They don't think Travis Hunter is going to come back. He may be gone longer than we thought, especially his was a non-contact injury. So The MRI, I think, came back negative, but clearly they're expecting him to be gone. And I think this is going to be a good thing for that team. He can come in and be productive. He's a veteran presence. He can help draw defenders away from BTJ, and he can get open if defenders are on BTJ. So I think overall it's a really good decision for that team. And then the other one is I just wonder how Shaheed going to the Seahawks will affect newly breaking out Torrey Horton.
That was
But
my thought. Oh,
maybe it'll be nothing. He'll have to get fully integrated into the offense, but maybe this is more about Cooper Kupp than about Torrey Horton. We'll see.
I agree with that take completely as well. Seattle, now they've got a lot of weapons, and how are you going to feed them all, including AJ Barner? How much are each of these players going to sacrifice a little bit, in order to get Shaheed some of the touches? So, boy, if Seattle's not primed to do it this year, or at least go far to playoffs, I don't know when they can, because they've got everything at their disposal, minus a good running game. It's sufficient, but yeah. But I would jump on the bandwagon of what coup d'etat did the Colts pull off on this one. They gave up a receiver that they didn't need because they're deep now, they're healthy now, and they got somebody to bolster a defense that they arguably were a great defense already. So, boy, yeah.
Going all in.
They absolutely going all in. That's exactly what it is, and we've talked about this before on these on our shows. Is sometimes you play to win this year, and other times you're more in rebuild mode. So yeah.
I think the Jets are rebuilding, and the Dolphins. We got rid of Jalen Phillips, but that's a rental for the Eagles for a third-round pick.
I think that plays a little bit into the next question too. Like, what teams missed that trade opportunity? I mean, there are probably some teams out there that really could have used some help, and they just punted away their chances. Does that resonate?
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that Brees didn't go anywhere.
Yes.
I'm sure it has to do with more with the contract than the player at this situation, because it would be kind of like a 1-year rental. You know what I mean? So that one surprised me. I would have liked to see what he could do in New England. I think that would have been interesting. But that's the biggest one for me. That was a surprise.
Yeah, I'm with you on Brees. But I think Houston with a running back there, and I'm surprised someone didn't do that trade and then like, hey, we'll trade for Brees, but he's got to say, I'm going to sign like a 3-year deal. And Houston, Houston's got CJ Stroud. What's he, 2, 3? So they got only a couple years till they got to really pay him. They could squeeze Brees in there with CJ Stroud, who's playing better, and Nico, and I thought that would have been a perfect fit for him, and then have Woody Marks compliment him, because Nick Chubb, he's just there making some money. Like he's doing what he's got to do. I applaud the dude. He was a stellar player. And then Calvin Ridley, I thought might have got traded somewhere just to be an ancillary piece, just to get like Tennessee would have given him to you for a sack of potatoes. Pretty much. The Dolphins and the AJ Brown, Jalen Waddle were talks of being traded, but Dolphins can't trade him. He's too young. They invested money in him. He's like the only good player we have right now. AJ Brown. Why would the Eagles trade him? Like, that was the dumbest one I ever heard of all week.
Seriously.
They're a Super Bowl contending team. We're going to trade none of our receivers are playing super, but he is their best receiver by about this much. If you're listening to us, it's like 2 inches. So, but
Howie would never.
No, and I think part of the theme that I was a little surprised is that teams that could have used receivers did not shore that up, like Tampa, Steelers. You always heard, they need some receiver help. Steelers are in first place right now. Yes, Ravens are they're projected to win the division, but Pittsburgh had an opportunity to shut the door and say, no, we're the driver's seat, we're staying here, and they didn't do anything, and that little surprised me. But I think probably the biggest thing for me was the teams that should have done something. Maybe you could call it the start or a finish of a dumpster sale. Didn't materialize. Like Tennessee, we talked about Ridley. Would have been an opportune time to move on from there, or from Pollard, move on from there. The Jets, they could have gotten rid of Breece Hall. I don't know why they kept him, because they get nothing at the end of the season. Jacksonville, I think that was really telling that they were willing to bring in another receiver. that club, I don't know where they're going at this point now. It's like, are you in or not? Because at this point, you're not, based on your record.
I missed their
Miami.
5-3. That shocked me. I didn't think they were that good.
I thought they were 4-4 or something, 4-5 or something. But
yeah, they're 5-3. I was like, what? That's why they. Okay.
well, look.
Because they
Also,
don't
you have to
look
look at who they
terrible.
played and look at the schedule coming up. I don't know if that's going to help them or not. But Miami, the Giants, New Orleans. I mean, New Orleans got rid of Shaheed, but there was also talk that they would have gotten rid of perhaps Kamara, and
He
perhaps
said he retired
Olave.
though.
So
Kamara
So
said
I
he
mean,
would
there were
retire.
some teams that could have used
Yeah.
something
Maybe like I'm
and
out.
help these bottom barrel teams, help them out a little bit, get somewhere. And out of that group, I think the only ones that really truly helped themselves, probably the Jets, because they got so many number one picks, out of the deal. And then second would be, of course, Las Vegas, because they got some picks too. But again, teams that don't draft well don't usually finish well. So, all righty, enough about reality. So when it comes to the fantasy football trade deadline, it's likely to be a ways away. So you've got some time to pivot or tank. Take your pick. The default date in Yahoo, for example, is November 22. So wherever you're at, whatever league or platform you're on, just be sure you check the league settings for your respective teams and divisions. Advice: get in your trades in advance, so that way you can complete the trade before the deadline. Don't think you can sneak it under the window for that. But and as always on the show, we encourage viewer participation. Feel free to chime in on any of the streaming platforms we're on, any topics we're on. If you got a question about a trade, what better place, what better show to air that out as well. So Adam and Susan, what do you look for when you're wanting to make a trade, and what tips can you give our audience? So Susan, let's start with you.
My biggest thing is make sure that you are benefiting both teams. Like, you don't necessarily have to win a trade, right? I feel like there's this mentality of, I'm going to go in and I'm going to try to fleece the guy, or I'm going to go in and I'm going to try to make sure that I'm the winner. That doesn't need to happen. If both teams can benefit, you are more likely to get the trade done. Say you're stacked at running back, you need a tight end. They've got a lot of wide receivers and maybe a couple tight ends, but they could also use a running back. Use the pieces you've got. Find a trading partner based on their needs. If you're a rebuilding team, but you want to keep your core pieces, start selling your backups to the managers of running backs. If you've got Corum, go try to make a deal to the Kyron manager for a third-round pick or something like that. Try to make sure that you're benefiting not only you, but your trade partner, and that will help get deals done.
Love it. I love that. Adam?
I think trading is always hard. People complain that nobody trades. I think in redraft, trading is a real challenge because in Fantasy Turf Wars, a guy keeps offering me trades, and I'm not going to do it because it does. I'm at 2-7, so I am competing. I'm doing it, but I don't. If it doesn't seem to, I don't want to sleeve people like Susan by passing up a guy. So also, don't be that person at the end that does the ones you see on threads, hey, you should veto this trade. I don't join leagues where you can veto. The veto drives me bonkers. Like, if I'm in a league with that veto exists, I don't want to be with those people, because that means that they're going to just, some people have it default.
That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, that's a whole
brutal conversation.
A lot of the trade talk recently for me is because I'm in so many Dynasty, and I think Dynasty, if you don't do Dynasty, that for me, that's my bread and butter now. Like, I love Dynasty because it's a building. It makes me feel accomplished. My redraft team, it stinks. Peace. I'll see you next year. But my Dynasty, I'm building up. So it's in Dynasty. What I'm looking at this point in the year is my teams. Most of my Dynasty teams are pretty good right now. So I'm looking at that team at the bottom that needs growth. What picks do I usually? I'm trading picks at this point a lot of times. Like, if you're in the middle, you might be trading players, but I'm trading picks. My brother-in-law did a trade. I got Drake London this week from him. I'm very excited, and then he scores a gajillion points. and he wanted picks, so it's a matter of what do they want. He wants to rebuild, so he's keeping like Tet as his foundation. And him and I had a conversation because he's a little knee jerk at times. I was like, dude, make sure you hold on to your younger guys as your foundation, as opposed to being like, I'm mad at this guy, because it's let him trade away all the guys. But it's finding that partner in Dynasty. There's more likely, because you'll have that guy. Like if you're in the bottom, you're still in it, because you're going, okay, what does next year hold, or the year after? So he got my first round pick, and he got a second round pick. And I was like, dude, good job getting this, because it was my brother's second round pick, which is better. I said, good job getting. He said, well, if you don't want to give it, I said, no, I'm complimenting you. I'm trying to help you with the game here, bro. Like, I don't want to, because my team is so good. Like this is that team I was talking about a week ago, where I'm just obliterating everybody. So now I have Drake London, but my team's getting way up there that it's going to get old and die soon. But helping him to establish, because that's, if you're at the bottom, that's what you need. You need youth and picks, but you don't need fourth round picks, people. Just so you know, if someone's throw in a fourth round pick, it makes it look pretty. If I don't have like I had a league where I had fourth round picks, you got to be lucky. And that's my bread and butter now, because I trade away first rounders. My fourth rounder this year, I played him almost everywhere this week. His name was Kyle Monangai. We'll talk about him later. But Luka Nakua, I got him in the fourth round. Like fourth rounds, that's what I study now, because I don't have first round picks, because I trade them away.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Yeah. Advice, I think, would be a hybrid of everything you guys have said. It really comes down to, I specifically look to see, okay, what do I need and what do I have excess of that I could get rid of? And then I look for somebody who's got that gap. I typically don't get in leagues that there is very much trading. And I don't know why that is, but it just kind of is. When somebody approaches me with a trade, and it's happened multiple times in Fantasy Turf War this season, which is, well, how do I benefit from it? I mean, you're approaching me, but you want me to give up everything I've got for what? And I'm, in the upper portion of the league. So I don't know that I need to make a trade just because somebody approaches me with it. It has to be win-win on both sides. To your point, Susan, nobody has to come away as the winner or the loser. I think both people can come away as winners if the deal is done right. Just like the Colts and the Jets. I think they both won. Yeah, I think they both won in that. Jets got what they needed, some rebuilding tools to work with, and the Colts got what they needed. They needed impact this year. Okay, that's a win-win to me. So, but let's say, just for fun, and you two, let's just say that you guys are both in the same league. How would you guys try to pull off a deal? Is there something that each other has that you'd want? What would you be willing to give up?
In our turf war team, I think right now, if we were to pull off a trade, she would want to get Kyle Monangai from me as her Swift insurance. Like honestly, like as her Swift insurance.
I have Swift, so
I would look at our team right now. So it'd be Swift, and she would look. Let's see, how deep are your receivers?
I have Shakir, Dobbs, and then as my bench.
And you would almost try to play like, you didn't realize me earlier, but you might be like, how can I play the Waddle card? Because he's a Dolphins fan. So sometimes you take that.
Oh, there you go.
It might be like a Waddle, and because Monangai's lower, so you're like, hey, you like Waddle, Monangai, and then she can pull in, like, I got a couple of pull in a receiver in exchange, like something to use that as the key cog
like
there.
Harrison, who just had a breakout game. So like Waddle
Finally.
for Harrison and Monangai. Now I don't know that that's fully balanced, but something like that.
And it would probably, you throw maybe Kenneth Walker, because Kenneth Walker's going to start, but you play a couple games there and knowing, like, I know people that are like a Dallas fan. I have a buddy who's a Dallas fan, and it's too bad. Like, I don't trade for Dolphins. I try not to. I do it too much, but I'll trade for the good ones. But he will trade for Cowboys. So we know that in our league. Okay, we're sending the Cowboys to Chuck. Guess what, dude? Take them.
Yeah. That's the other thing, is you have to know your league mates. You have to understand their tendencies, which is way easier when you play in a redraft league you've been playing with the same guys for a really long time. Frequently, my redraft leagues are full of strangers. It's people who either I'm doing a tournament of some sort or somebody needed a person in a Discord or something. So that makes trading a little harder in a redraft league. But if you are in a redraft and rather than playing in a dynasty league with your friends, you just do a redraft every year. Knowing your trading partners makes a really big difference.
Side note, how are you doing in Scott Fish? I'm toast. My team hit the injury wall.
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, you too? Okay, cool. I found that in. I was very excited. Now I'm like, why you spoil that? I guess in my donation, and I keep forgetting that. But
I am in last place.
Oh, I'm down there too.
The scoring just totally, and the fact that it's all flexes. I don't know. My draft, I was like, there's no way to prep for that. It's who do you think you're taking at the time that's the best? And because I feel like this year, a lot of second and third round picks in particular are underperforming.
Yep.
That's rounds 2, 3, 4 is kind of where I tried to go for value, and that value did not work out. So
no, I agree. Anytime I do mock drafts, you're going to get one of a handful of elite players, but I think your team is really built on rounds 2, 3, 4, 5 to add that significant depth at those key areas. Yeah, fascinating here. And I would agree when it comes to a dynasty league. And I love dynasty leagues because I think it allows you to have an identity of your team from one year to the next. It's something that you don't get in many of the other leagues or even close to that flavor. But when it comes to trading, again, if you're in a dynasty league, if you're trying to win this year, then you do pull out the stops for it, but just understand what the trade-off might be, that there may be somebody who needs better depth at some areas that they don't have and maybe can't even get in next year's draft either. So that's where some of those trading partners come around. Again, a seller and a buyer, you got to come together for what each person needs to make that happen. Otherwise, it just becomes very one-sided and it looks very, very shady to begin with. So all righty. Well, that was a great discussion. Fantastic topics, but we still have more business to conduct here. Waiver wires. There are still 4 more teams coming up on buys this week. That would be Cincinnati, Tennessee, Dallas, Kansas City. Hopefully, people are getting players back from the prior bye week and or from injury situations, and there have been plenty of injuries this season. Now add a couple of key players out after week 9 for some extended time. So take note of the following. Jaden Daniels, dislocated elbow. They're not giving a timetable yet. That does not bode well for Washington. That looks bad. And I was very disheartened because I've got a good share of Jaden Daniels. Also, keep a watch for Purdy, Murray from Arizona, Stroud. We just talked about Stroud. On the running backs front, Saquon popped up as being questionable. Irving might be getting him back soon here. Keep a watch for that. Swift from Chicago. You know what? And Monangai took over when Swift wasn't there. It's going to be in Swift's best interest to try to get back quickly. So we'll see how that plays itself out. Judkins coming back from injury from Cleveland. Stevenson and Aaron Jones. The wide receiver front. Puka popped up there, but people are looking for Garrett Wilson. Is he going to be able to make a splash yet this year? A.J. Brown from Philadelphia. Brian Thomas. Interesting that they made a trade for a receiver. I'm thinking I'm kind of leaning that same direction. They're not quite telling us exactly how bad that wide receiver room is right now. Godwin could be coming back from injury, and then, of course, Pearsall's been absent for some time. Normally, we have a good-sized list on the tight end front as well, but unfortunately, the only one we've got is gone for the season. That is Kraft from Green Bay.
Went out.
Had a good share of him as well, and now I'm scrambling to find who's my backup. If you were smart, you might have drafted 2 tight ends in the beginning of the year, but that was the big hit for Green Bay and a big hit for fantasy as well. So with the bye weeks and injuries having been talked about already, time to look at the waiver wire, or as I sometimes call it, my team sucks and I need a Hail Mary. And as always, your team situation at home would probably dictate who or if you should even pick up some players or any players that might be available in your league. So let's go around the table here. Susan, let's start with you. Who's a hot waiver pickup that you're looking at?
Garrett Wilson, apparently.
Yeah, I'm in the Aaron's leagues now. Good grief.
Oh my gosh.
Garrett Wilson's available?
Apparently, according to Sharon, my guess is somebody rage dropped him because they either don't have the bench space or the IR is full or something. If you're in a fab league, Sharon,
all of it.
Dump it.
Through the roof.
Go get him.
And don't tell a soul until it happens.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Anyway, so, that's crazy. I want to do a quick hit. The running back waivers this week stink.
Yeah.
It's mostly injury, but it's injuries. So if one of your backups for a player that you have is on the waiver wire, if you're the Kyron manager and Corum's there, if you're the Saquon manager and who just got moved there? My mind's blanking. It starts with a B. Who was in Jacksonville and now is
Tank Bigsby. Tank Bigsby.
Thank you, Bigsby. Anyway, go get those guys. The only, I think, startable asset that you might be able to pick up off the waiver wire and put in your lineup that is there is DeMarcado from Arizona. He only played 40% of snaps. Bam had 54% of the snaps, but DeMarcado was much more efficient this week. So again, it's a Hail Mary if you need somebody. But I wanted to talk about Alec Pierce on the Colts. This last week was not good. Everybody's for the team. Daniel Jones had a more down game. Pierce still performed. He has gotten double-digit targets 2 of the last 3 weeks. He had 13 targets this week. Wow. 13. Jones is, when I just eyeball it, he's averaging 30 or more attempts a game. This last week, because they were down, he had 50 passing attempts. It's like Joe Flacco here. So the ball is being tossed a ton, and Pierce and Pittman are both getting either almost or are getting double-digit targets. So Pierce the last 3 weeks, week 7 versus the Chargers, 98 yards. Week Tennessee, he had 69 yards. But that was only on 2 receptions. So he is the guy who is down the field catching those long bomb passes from Daniel Jones. Week 9, this last week, again, 13 targets, only 6 catches, about 115 yards. His average depth of target is up over 20 yards.
Jeez.
I mean, this season, 36, 17, 16 and a quarter, 3 quarters, 24, 19.6, 34.5, and 19.17 are his average depths of target. So he is effective for your team, even if he's not getting 1 million receptions. So the schedule is it's kind of hit or miss, but I think that he is somebody who should be rostered and is definitely startable in your flex position for sure.
Super.
Cool.
I remember getting him years ago and be like, dude, this guy looks like he could be. And then the Colts had no quarterbacks. And now they got the greatest quarterback in the world. I mean,
really?
He was trained by Peyton Manning when he was at Duke. So what can you do? Or Peyton Manning's like team or whatever was his coaching people at Duke. But I wrote, I'm zagging here. I wrote Devin Singletary. I don't even want to pick him up and put him on my team because, I mean, he did get the most carries there. The Giants' backfield is a disaster. But there was a name that I said on the podcast Sunday, and I said, I don't even know who this dude is. Like, usually we do a bit called Surefire Ways to a Touchdown. And it's dudes that score. We stole it from the NFL Network. They do, what was it? I got my name up there one time was That Helps No One was the name of the show. Like guys score touchdowns. Last year, I named it after Nick Westbrook because he just scores touchdowns and he didn't do anything else. So the dude that popped up this week, and usually Jason won't know some guys. I know most of the guys because I do all the this dude named Terrell Jennings. I have no clue who this dude is. Florida A&M. Apparently, I saw like a sad story. He's good friends with Demario Douglas. Demario Douglas killed it this Sunday. That's terrible. And his uncle had been shot and murdered like right before the game. So he's like brokenhearted, devastated. He grew up with Terrell Jennings, like they're best buds, they're pee-wee buds from pee-wee football growing up. This dude, the only reason I'm saying him is I'm a little worried about TreVeyon Henderson. TreVeyon Henderson got 14 touches. Jennings got 11. Ramondre Stevenson fumbles, so he might not be running again. But this dude came out of nowhere, got 11 touches and the touchdown. And he could he be the committee guy? Like, this is a super stash, but just a name to watch as a who is this dude, which rarely happens to me. But I was just at all that this guy came off the practice squad, I guess, jumped up and got 11 carries out of nowhere. But then he could be, I forgot the dude's name. That guy for the Patriots a couple years ago, he got 4 touchdowns in a game. Everybody picked him up, and then but Belichick never played him again. I'll pull the name up at some point. But yeah, but Henderson got 55 on 14, 4 receptions, and Jennings got 11 for 35, a touchdown and 1 reception. So keep an eye on him at least. If you got deep benches, I wouldn't. You can't do them in shallow benches, but just an eye. I put a little star thing.
Or even dynasty leagues. He's probably a name that is on dynasty league waivers, which is rare.
I wrote that down because I'm going to do some research. Thanks, Adam. But to circle back on that Pierce conversation, one of our listeners, would you pick up Pierce over Dobbs? They're a Packer fan, so of course they're going to lean towards Packer Nation. I would think, boy, I'd look at strength of schedule probably first. The problem with Green Bay receivers is that you got a wealth of receivers out there now, and with Watson back, one more mouth to feed. But
they're trying to get Reed back too.
Yeah,
like they're talking about his return. So
I would probably go Pierce in that situation, and I would
Sharon, I'll trade you a Packers receiver for anything. So let's do it. Jonas Gray, by the way, Jonas Gray. It was against the Colts in 2014, but yeah, he had 201 yards, 4 touchdowns. Everybody picked him up and didn't do anything.
Well, that's what I was afraid was going to happen with the player that I've got out here, because even 2 weeks ago, Matthew Berry, the great legendary Matthew Berry, said Kyle Monagai has got to be rostered in all leagues, all formats, and it's like, go away, no way, that's not. Stop, just stop it, okay? Because half of what you say doesn't ever happen. He was right. He was right. If Monagai is available in any of your leagues, get him now. This is probably going to be your very last chance to do that. He is currently rostered in the 70s, so maybe not a very good chance to get him. But if you listen to us the last week or two, you guys got it right here on this show. One of you guys said Monagai, and it's like, yeah, that was right. We're constantly hitting a nail on the head on some of these things. So, I would say last week kind of speaks for itself. Yes, it was a large scoring affair, but I think he also proved to management there that if he is the sole back, he can carry it. Yeah, he had 176 yards, 26 carries. How many running backs get 26 carries? Not many. Plus, you also
that's like Christian McCaffrey numbers.
Seriously, that many touches.
Kyle Monagai.
And we've talked about it. It all requires getting opportunity. Well, he had the opportunity. He made the most of it, and you don't know where this is going to go. But if you got a share of Monagai at this point in time, hold on to him right now.
Susan, Houston Texans next year.
I actually looked at our dynasty league to see if he was available. Nope, somebody else got him. It's like, yeah, okay, well, we'll see. Maybe I can look at that.
He was one of those fourth round dynasty draft guys.
He was, yeah. Susan, who else do you have for us?
Sorry, I can't stick to one tonight, so I'm gonna do double hits. I'm sorry. There's
That's okay.
wide receiver position feels pretty deep this week. Running backs maybe, but wide receiver, I feel like there's definitely good options for you to pick up and play. Those younger guys are starting to come out and make names for themselves. A lot of these teams that are coming back off the bye, there's a trend that first-year wide receivers, after that bye week, they get more involved in the offense. It's like they take the bye week, get those guys fully integrated into the offense, and then they start performing. So one name for you is Tez Johnson. The Bucks are coming back from their bye week. Godwin is still out. There's not even really a timetable for his return. So Sterling Shepard is old. In my brain, he's like not as old as he is. I want Sterling Shepard to be younger than he is, but he's 30, which is not like that old for wide receiver. But Tez is the young guy. He's the rookie. They're starting to get him involved. He had a breakout the week before their bye. So be looking for him to continue that trend. And then Troy Franklin. He is, again, still only, let me pull it up, 54% rostered in redraft leagues on Sleeper. Johnson, by the way, 49% rostered on Sleeper. But he has had Franklin has had double-digit targets also again in the last 2 out of 3 weeks. He has had more targets than Sutton the last 4 weeks. Week 6, 7, 8, and 9. He had more targets than Cortland Sutton did. So is he becoming the wide receiver one there? I don't know. Maybe that connection between Bo Nix is really starting to develop. They play Las Vegas this week, which is a decent matchup for wide receivers. So you can pick up Troy Franklin and put him in your lineup as a flex with probably wide receiver 2 upside.
Sweet.
I like that. You know what, Adam, you had talked about Tez Johnson from Tampa a week or two ago, and I talked about Franklin a week or two ago as well. And it's keen that Susan has picked up on both of those guys and say, they're still there, guys. Why haven't you picked them up yet? You know, we can't do any more here on the show but jump up and down, but then you can't see us. So, you know, do the needful at home. Take a look at these guys because they do have upside, like Susan was saying. Adam, what do we do about the situation up in Green Bay?
Pray. That's all I got. Like, because the problem is, like, we got to look at. And I threw out Luke Musgrave because really waiver wires are a dumpster fire at this point. We're grasping at straws. I mean, Jennings, he might never touch the ball the rest of the year. Some of the guys, I mean, Pierce is going to be great. Franklin, I don't know why he's not on somebody's team, you know, but some of these guys that aren't on teams. But if we're looking where the need is, the tight ends are. He's gonna be there in Green Bay. Is he going to be the main guy? I don't know, because he was drafted before. He's actually the first tight end drafted, and he didn't really perform, and Kraft took over. So if you're desperate and your waiver wires really lean, he might be a guy to grab. I've seen on a lot of. I saw the numbers. I lost it on my windows, but another guy to look at is Loveland in Chicago, who had that great catch to win the ball game. He's actually, I thought 50 some odd percent, like not that highly. 28. Okay,
28% rostered.
Been on the dynasty one again, but 28% for the rookie tight end out of Chicago, who he might have just made that leap this week. So he might be the tight end you're looking at. Like, I'd rather have Loveland than Musgrave, but if push comes to shove, they have made the tight end part of the offense in Green Bay. So you're just grasping at straws, hoping that it continues.
A plug and play
with what you got to play there. So follow me up there with what tight end are you thinking?
Well, you know, because I did lose Kraft on a couple teams, I have been looking, and Luke Musgraves definitely came on my list as well. Loveland, I looked at him, and I'm just concerned that it's just a shot in the dark. It was only because the game was a blowout script, and Caleb Williams had to throw the ball. Is he going to get the ball consistently enough? And Kmet was out. So it's like, how much is it just because the gameplay and the rostering?
He looks great.
But Loveland has always had upside in a lot of people's minds coming out of the draft, you know, and I always felt they were going to play a 2-man tight end set most of the year. So definitely Leveland fits into that concept. I am going back with somebody who was tried and true early in the season. That's Harold Fannin from Cleveland. Lately, he has been getting a lot of looks, and that is with the new quarterback, Gabriel. So gone are the days of Flacco, but strength of schedule looks promising for Cleveland. We know they're going to have to throw it. Fannin's only 43% rostered at this moment, give or take. But over the last 3 weeks, he's gotten 17 catches out of 23 targets. That's a pretty high percentage, and that's quite a bit of volume over the last 3 weeks. So if you're looking for somebody to plug and play for right now for the next several weeks, you might want to consider Fannin again. I know a lot of people have picked him up, dropped him, and then started re-looking at him because he'll have those flash-in-the-pan games once in a while that'll put you over the top. But look at the last 3 weeks. There are some degrees of consistency there. That's what I look for when I look for anybody who's either receiver or a tight end, is the volumes and is it consistent or not. And so that's where I would go this week myself.
And they are playing the Jets minus Sauce this week. So
and Williams.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I think the Jets defense has now made themselves not as scary as they used to be
vulnerable.
as they start to rebuild.
Yes.
So,
So there's a chance.
but I just wanted to throw that out there that if you are somebody who streams the position and you're looking at matchups, the data that is there for the Jets defense now suddenly doesn't match. So
No.
if you have players on, now it's the Browns, like their offense really kind of struggles, but the Jets may now be one of those defenses that you can target moving forward this season because they've lost 2 key players to trade. So just throwing that out there. I don't think that we need to think of the Jets as the scariest matchup anymore like we used to.
Right. Completely agree. Oh, mercy. Lots to digest this week for sure. Halloween was last week, but this week feels awfully scary too. Let's talk about little Jimmy. It was scary for him as well. He isn't helping his cause any. Little Jimmy has been wrong 2 weeks in a row, but I had a conversation with little Jimmy this week. He explained that he was wrong. Well, just technically incorrect. You know, he said if it weren't for those 2 touchdowns by King Henry 2 weeks ago against the Bears, and then that last touchdown by McCarthy this week, he would be on an 8-game winning streak. I'm calling it right. I'm not quite buying his logic there because a win's still a win. So on our weekly shows, we have a segment called Start and Sit. We have our little Jimmy coin that we flip. Props to Tank Talk podcast for the inspiration. Every week, you might have a couple players you just can't seem to decide on. Save yourself the pressure. We encourage you to use our Start and Sit coins featuring our character called Little Jimmy. Flip him, whatever he lands on. Do that with the player. If it goes well, congratulations. If it doesn't go well, it's not your fault. Little Jimmy did it. So the worst thing is to not flip Little Jimmy at all. But if you've been watching your shows, Little Jimmy has been right 6 of the 8 weeks. So maybe there's some truth to this. But it might be time for you to consider listening to Little Jimmy. Better yet, get your own Little Jimmy Start and Sit coin at Fantasy Turf War or message any of us on social media. We'll get you connected. It's just $5 plus shipping. This week, Michael Penix, quarterback from Atlanta. He's only played 7 games. Of course, he had a bye week. He was also injured one, but over 1,600 yards passing, only 62 yards rushing. He's got 9 total touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Last week, he seemed to have found his connection with Drake London. 3 touchdowns last week. So this week, not necessarily an easy draw, but we saw how the Colts had problems with the Steelers. So they're playing the Colts, and the Colts are only ranked 18 against the pass. So quite interesting. Maybe this is an interesting matchup that little Jimmy could guide us properly on. If you're looking at standard scoring, just under 16 points per game. But, Adam, what is little Jimmy going to tell us to do?
Start.
Start Penix. against the Colts. Interesting. Susan, are you buying it?
Man, that one's hard because who did the Colts just trade for? We've talked about how the Jets defense is not as good. The Colts just added Sauce, right? So now he'll only be barely 1 week in the system, but if they can use him appropriately, he's gonna be on Drake London. If he is the talent that they say he is, he's gonna be on Drake London. So that connection may end up being a little shaky. Now that might open Darnell Mooney up a little to get some passes. I definitely think he is a streamer candidate, but again, I think it depends on who you're starting him over. I probably would be in the sit category based on who my options are, but like, am I going to play Davis Mills, who's probably going to start for CJ Stroud, or am I going to play Penix? I'd play Penix, right? But so if you were the Stroud manager and Mills is on the waiver wire to pick up, and you could either pick up Mills and play him, or you can play Penix, I'm probably going to go Penix in that situation. But for the most part, I think I would be a sit.
Yeah.
Adam, you flipped it. What do you think?
Yeah. Jimmy's he's in charge. I just do what he says. I'm at his bidding over here. The Colts have a pretty good defense. I'm shocked that they're 18th against the pass. And Penix feels like it's been a miserable year for Penix when realistically he's had a 300-yard game, 2 games, 1 game almost 300s, 2 duds. But a lot of quarterbacks have those. I think Jimmy's right in this one, but I agree. Basically, Susan and I agree too much with that. But he's not a guy that I'm jumping to play. But in bye weeks, you are playing him over a lot of backups. Like I think people are going to get excited to try to start Jacoby Brissett this week, and I have a feeling I've seen Jacoby Brissett play. He has that good game. This week, you might be better off starting Michael Penix because that's what Jacoby Brissett does to us at times.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he'll be right just because we're looking at 15, almost 16 points. So in standard scoring, that's 4. I believe it's probably 4 for a passing touchdown. So he's only had 2 multi-touchdown games, and the rest have been 1 or 0.
Yeah, I'm thinking to myself, if that connection has been established finally between Penix and London, then it could be a very long day for Colts again. Might be more of a revenge game against whoever the next opponents would be, because they should not have lost against the Steelers. So maybe they'll be taking it out on them. I'm not going to disagree with little Jimmy at this point in time. I'm going to ride the bandwagon with them. If it were me playing Penix versus somebody else, I hope I'm not in that situation. Some people probably are. You've got to just look at pure matchups at this point in time and trust the numbers that are there. So, okay, there we go. So we've got a few items in our chat room. Let's plug in
Matthew Tan.
Let's plug in this one. Goff or Stroud? Quick takes, guys.
Stroud's going to be out. So Jared Goff.
I think even if Stroud is out, it's still Jared Goff.
I was going to say, even if Stroud's in, I'm still going Goff.
Yeah, sorry.
Now, if this is rest of season, also Jared Goff. But I'm just trying to get the scenarios out there just in case that's...
Stroud's coming on hot. I think that's why it's a discussion, because he's played really well until he banged his head. And he might play next week, but Goff's just on that superior offense.
Yeah. We touched upon this last one. This next question here in our last segment, replacements for Tucker Kraft. We threw out 3 different tight ends, might be serviceable replacements short term. I'm not sure you're going to find a replacement long term in the waiver wires at this point for the rest of season. However, I will say that I have seen Mark Andrews out there in many leagues because people haven't been able to trust him. Might still find some diamonds in the rough. I'm not sure I would bank everything on what he did this last game with Lamar back at the helm. He cannot keep up that level of productivity, but even at the same time, Andrews only got 22 yards. So again, you have to kind of weigh out, long term or short term, what do you need? Is it just a stopgap for now, or is it something longer term? But again, the three that we tossed out there, Loveland, Fannin was out
Fannin.
there, and then his
Musgrave.
Kraft's replacement up there. Musgraves.
Who I would possibly look at too is because I picked wide receivers to talk about this week. I would look at Cade Otton coming off of the bye week for the Bucs. He is more of he's not going to give you necessarily the ceiling that you need. If you need somebody that's like, they're just not going to goose me for the most part, Cade Otton might be okay. The other option is Theo Johnson. He has gotten, I know that touchdowns are not a sticky stat, but he had a touchdown against Denver week 7. He had a touchdown against San Francisco week 9, and they're playing Chicago this week. So the Chicago defense has not been great, but he's playing over 85% of the snaps every week since week 6. He's getting 7 targets week 7, only 4 versus Philadelphia, but their defense is really good. He had 6 targets against San Francisco. He's just kind of ending up in the end zone. So those 2 names are who I personally would throw out to you to look at to see if they're available.
Fair enough.
He said Sam Laporte. If Sam Laporte is available, I would. Yeah, he'd be on my team. If you get Sam Laporte, ignore all of us and go with that.
Do that.
Loveland, I like a lot. I think that was his coming out party, and just watching that last. I think sometimes you need that like one thing that's going to snap you. I think that last catch to win the game really just put them over. But I think it's going to get him to the next.
We also highlighted AJ Barner last week on our show too. Still, if available, I probably would prioritize him above most of the other names we've tossed out as well. Probably rostered fairly high, I would think, at this point because of
24%.
That's it. Wow.
Well, it's because you're only I don't get it. Matthew's last question here. Think he's got my fingers. Matthew Golden. When is his breakout game? Never. Next. No. I
think he is droppable.
Yeah.
With Watson coming back and them
Watson
trying to get Reed back.
He's played better than I'm not a Watson guy, and
played Watson better. Got a lot of targets, a lot of looks in just a very short amount of time he's been back. So
we love you, Matthew. Number 1 fan.
We appreciate that, Matthew. Appreciate that.
Now push that. See that little thumb right there? Click that little thumb. I see more. I see less thumbs. Everybody, push a couple of thumbs. Give us some thumbs up there.
Yeah, if you're watching,
give us
those likes. You dropped Sharon.
If she dropped Golden, then that's fine.
Oh, I thought she's a Packers fan. What kind of a Packers fan are you?
Well, you gotta be reasonable too. You can't have 5 Packer receivers on your team though and expect to win. It just doesn't work.
We're all number 2, so it doesn't help anyway. That's how we're right. Oh, we got another one. Yeah, Sharon.
All righty. Hey, well, Matthew, we always appreciate the conversations in the chat rooms. Again, bring your friends, bring your neighbors, like, subscribe, share, things like that. We typically have a trivia section at the end of the week, but Corey's been MIA, so I thought I'd toss this one out to you guys and test your knowledge. If we are now better than the NFL experts, there was one game where 12 people were on the field legally, and of course, no, we're not talking about the Chiefs and the refs. So can either of you guys name the game or the circumstance that there were 12 people legally on the field? Ooh,
I think I know.
Go for it.
When a team is kicking a really long field goal, I actually don't know how many players are on special teams. And there's the receiver who's back in case it's short. Is that it?
It's the kickoff.
What do you think, Adam?
Kickoff where there's the wind and somebody holds the ball with their finger that rolls off. It can't be at the end.
The kickoff. The kickoff. It happened this week. It was in the Buffalo and Chiefs game. So it was really 12 people on the field legally, of course, but for the Bills this time, the ball had blown off the tee. They were allowed to bring the 12th person on, but only to hold the ball.
He
before
runs
it
off
got
the side
kicked.
really fast.
And they were not allowed to be a participant other than just holding the ball in that play. So interesting. Well done,
I've
both
never
of you
seen that.
guys. You guys have both redeemed yourselves. Okay, so I think that's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for joining us at home. If
Matthew,
you
shoot
feel,
me a Facebook message, and I'll try to help
oh
you.
yeah,
with whatever you
absolutely.
need.
The Gridiron Goddess is so helpful. We're privileged to have her amongst us. Again,
Oh,
if you feel you
Keegan.
got value out of the
Keegan.
show,
That's an easy answer. Yeah.
make sure you hit that like, subscribe button, share the show with everybody, things like that. As always, we've had tons of fun here with my partners in crime. Susan, where can we find you?
All right, so here's my handle for TikTok, Instagram. I'm always happy to answer questions from people. So shoot me a message. I also have a Facebook page. You can shoot me a message on that if you want as well. I'm better on responding on the Instagram, but if you're a Facebook person and not an Instagram person, you can get to me in all three places. So yeah, that's where find me here, right here, this handle.
All right.
Adam, what about you?
Right there. You listen to me on the Fantasy Couriers. We post a show every Sunday night after the Sunday games, and then I always tell them, come over here for the rest of the week. My buddy JJ Wang, childhood buddy, we pop on there every week. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, if you want to see our handsome faces, YouTube, we get a little bit of traction. We're more podcast. We got faces for podcasts, is what we always say. But you can see any of my rankings on fantasycouriers.com. It links to there for Fantasy Pros. This week they didn't ask for any articles. I guess last week they took my article and made it too. So I don't have anything upcoming for articles this week, but the rankings I'm gonna work on and have them up by the end of the week. But my personal ones are on the website, as well as links to everything. And we're here every Tuesday. Matthew's asking every Tuesday. Depends on your time zone. We'll say 9 p.m. Eastern for me. So whatever that is for you, wherever you do live, it's live. And then
well done. Awesome. Great plugs, guys. And of course, I am Cameron. I am here to help support the cause of Shelter Dogs for Veterans. And as our commissioner Corey closes out each week, be excellent to each other, be kind, and until next time, keep moving forward. See ya. Thanks for being here. Bring somebody with you next time. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.